Women over 60. Here the only one habit makes older men fall in love, fall deeply in love with women your age. There's something quietly magnetic about certain women over 60 that draws mature men like moths to a flame. It's not what you might expect, not perfectly styled hair or designer clothes or even conventional beauty. It's something more subtle, more powerful, and completely within your control. Welcome to Wise Advice for Elderly. So grateful to have you here. After interviewing dozens of men over 60 about the women who captured their hearts completely, 5 patterns emerged that might surprise you. These aren't behaviors you perform to attract someone. They're ways of being that reveal the depth, wisdom, and authentic femininity that mature men find absolutely irresistible. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications because understanding what creates genuine devotion, not just attraction, but deep, lasting love, could change how you show up in relationships forever. Habit number 1. She genuinely enjoys her own company. The first habit that makes mature men fall in love has nothing to do with them and everything to do with her relationship with herself. She genuinely enjoys her own company and has created a life so rich that sharing it feels like a generous gift rather than a desperate need. This isn't about pretending to be independent or performing self-sufficiency. This is about authentic contentment with your own life that shows up in countless small ways. You laugh at movies alone. You take yourself to dinner without feeling sorry for yourself. You have hobbies that fascinate you, whether anyone else understands them or not. You can be alone without being lonely. Men over 60 have learned to distinguish between women who are alone and women who are genuinely comfortable with solitude. The difference is magnetic because it signals something profound. This woman doesn't need rescue, management, or constant entertainment. She's choosing to share her already fulfilling life. Eleanor, 68, embodies this quality perfectly. When she met James at a community art show, she wasn't there hoping to meet someone. She was there because she loved discovering new artists. I was so absorbed in this one painting that I didn't notice him watching me for 10 minutes, she recalled. Later, he told me that my complete engagement with what I was experiencing was the most attractive thing he ever seen. This habit creates an intriguing paradox. The less you need someone, the more they want to be needed by you. Men over 60 are drawn to women who would be fine without them, but choose to include them anyway. The ancient philosopher Epictetus taught, "Wealth consists in not having great possessions, but in having few wants." Women who possess this wealth of self-contentment naturally attract men who want to add to their happiness rather than become responsible for it. Habit number 2. She listens with genuine curiosity instead of waiting to be heard. The second habit that creates deep male devotion is so rare that when men encounter it, they often feel like they've discovered buried treasure. She listens with genuine curiosity about his thoughts, experiences, and perspectives without constantly redirecting attention to her own stories. This isn't about being a passive listener or suppressing your own voice. This is about possessing enough confidence in your own worth that you can be fully present to someone else's experience without feeling threatened or diminished by their moment in the conversation spotlight. Most people, especially in the age of social media and shortened attention spans, listen primarily to find openings to share their own thoughts. But women who have mastered this habit listen to understand, to learn, to connect with another person's inner world. Watch how this plays out. When he tells a story about his grandchildren, she asks follow-up questions that show she's genuinely interested in understanding his relationship with them, not just waiting for her turn to share grandparent stories. When he mentions a challenge at work or with family, she responds with curiosity about his feelings, rather than immediately offering advice or sharing similar experiences. Robert, 71, described falling in love with Margaret this way. In 40 years of marriage to my first wife, I never felt truly heard. She was always planning what to say next. But Margaret would ask me questions I'd never been asked. She seemed genuinely fascinated by how my mind worked, what my experiences meant to me. I felt seen and understood in ways I'd never experienced. This habit reveals emotional maturity and security that men find irresistible. It suggests a woman who doesn't need constant validation through talking about herself, because she already knows her own worth. Habit number 3. She expresses appreciation without keeping score. The third habit that makes men fall deeply in love is perhaps the most powerful. She notices and appreciates his efforts, contributions, and qualities without creating a mental ledger of what she's owed in return. This goes far beyond saying thank you for obvious gestures. This is about recognizing and acknowledging the hundreds of small ways he adds value to her life, from the thoughtful text message to check on her day, to the way he remembers her preferences, to his willingness to listen when she is processing something difficult. The key element that makes this habit so magnetic is that her appreciation flows freely without expectation of reciprocal appreciation. She doesn't appreciate his thoughtfulness as currency to purchase his continued thoughtfulness. She appreciates it because genuine gratitude enhances her own experience of receiving care. Men over 60 have often experienced relationships where appreciation became transactional, where expressions of gratitude were actually demands for continued performance. They can distinguish between manipulative appreciation and authentic appreciation, and the authentic version creates profound emotional bonding. Thomas, 69, explained why this quality in his partner transformed their relationship. Dorothy notices everything. When I fix something small around her house, when I bring her favorite coffee, when I listen patiently while she works through a problem. But she doesn't keep track of what I owe her. Her appreciation feels genuine, not like an invoice for future services. This habit creates what psychologists call a positive feedback loop in relationships. The more genuinely appreciated a man feels, the more motivated he becomes to continue the behaviors that earn appreciation. The woman isn't manipulating this outcome. She's simply responding naturally to receiving care, which naturally increases the care she receives. As the Roman philosopher Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." Women who break this expectation with genuine appreciation stand out as extraordinary. Which of these habits comes most naturally to you? Share in the comments. Your self-awareness might help other women recognize strengths they didn't know they had. Habit number 4. She maintains her own opinions without needing to win every discussion. The fourth habit that creates lasting love is the ability to hold strong opinions and express them clearly while remaining gracious when others disagree, including him. She doesn't need to win every discussion or convince him to adopt her perspectives to feel validated in her views. This sophisticated form of confidence is incredibly attractive to mature men who have learned to value partners with independent minds but also appreciate harmony in daily interactions. They want intellectual equals, not intellectual combatants. This habit shows up in how she handles everything from political discussions to decisions about where to have dinner. She'll express her preferences clearly. "I really prefer Italian food tonight because I've been craving pasta all week." But if he suggests something else, she can adapt graciously without feeling like she's lost something important. The deeper level of this habit involves her comfort with philosophical or value differences that don't threaten the relationship's foundation. She might have different views on parenting styles, money management, or social issues, but she can discuss these differences with curiosity rather than the need to convert him to her position. William, 73, described this quality in his partner. Sandra has very strong opinions about almost everything, and I love that about her, but she doesn't make our relationship a battlefield for her beliefs. She can disagree with me completely and still be affectionate and connected. That combination of strength and grace is incredibly attractive. This habit requires the kind of emotional security that typically develops with age and experience. Younger women often feel that being right is essential to being respected. Mature women who have developed this habit understand that being at peace is more valuable than being right about everything. The Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu taught, "The sage does not attempt anything very big and thus achieves greatness." Women who don't need to win every small battle often win the larger war of creating harmonious, loving relationships.
Habit number 5. She responds to his vulnerability with grace instead of judgment. The fifth and most powerful habit is how she handles his moments of vulnerability, uncertainty, or emotional exposure. When he shares fears, admits mistakes, or reveals insecurities, she responds with acceptance and understanding, rather than disappointment or attempts to fix him. This habit is transformative because men over 60 have often learned to hide vulnerability behind competence, strength, and problem-solving. They've experienced relationships where showing uncertainty or emotional need was met with criticism, advice they didn't ask for, or worse, loss of respect from their partners. The woman who can receive his vulnerability with grace creates unprecedented emotional safety. When he admits he's worried about his health, his finances, or his relationship with his adult children, she doesn't immediately jump into solutions or express anxiety about how his problems might affect her. She simply holds space for his human experience. This might look like, when he confesses he's nervous about meeting her family, instead of reassuring him that he shouldn't be nervous, she says, "I understand why you'd feel nervous. What would help you feel more comfortable?" When he admits he made a mistake with his investment portfolio, instead of lecturing him about financial responsibility, she might say, "That must be frustrating. Do you want to talk through what happened?" Charles, 74, described falling in love with Patricia after she demonstrated this quality. "I mentioned that I sometimes felt overwhelmed managing my late wife's belongings, and instead of telling me what I should do or how I should feel, Patricia just said, 'That sounds really difficult.' It was such a relief to not have to defend my feelings or accept unwanted advice. I felt safe being human around her." This habit requires tremendous emotional maturity because it means tolerating your own discomfort with his discomfort without trying to eliminate it through fixing, advising, or minimizing his experience. How do you typically respond when someone shares vulnerability with you? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your awareness might help other women develop this crucial skill.
The integration. Why these habits create lasting love. What makes these 5 habits so powerful isn't that they're strategies for attracting men, it's that they're expressions of emotional and psychological maturity that create the foundation for deeply satisfying relationships. Each habit demonstrates a different aspect of what psychologists call differentiation, the ability to be close to someone without losing yourself, to be influenced by others without being controlled by them, to care deeply without being desperate. Men over 60 are drawn to these qualities because they've learned through experience what creates sustainable, peaceful, loving relationships. They're no longer attracted to drama, intensity, or the need to rescue or be rescued. They want genuine partnership with women who bring emotional stability, wisdom, and grace to the relationship. The deeper psychology. Why age makes these habits more powerful. What's fascinating about these habits is that they become more attractive as both partners age. In younger relationships, some of these qualities might be overlooked in favor of passion, excitement, or physical chemistry. But men over 60 have learned that these deeper qualities are what create lasting happiness and emotional fulfillment. The woman who enjoys her own company offers something rare, the gift of choice rather than necessity in relationship. The woman who listens with genuine curiosity provides something precious, the experience of being truly known and understood. The woman who appreciates without keeping score creates something beautiful, a relationship based on gratitude rather than obligation. The woman who holds opinions without needing to win offers something peaceful, intellectual stimulation without emotional exhaustion. And the woman who receives vulnerability with grace provides something invaluable, emotional safety that allows authentic intimacy to flourish. The authenticity factor, being versus performing. The crucial element that makes these habits effective is authenticity. These must be genuine expressions of who you are, not performances designed to attract male attention. Men over 60 have developed sophisticated abilities to distinguish between authentic qualities and performed behaviors. If you naturally embody these habits, understanding their power helps you appreciate qualities you might have taken for granted. If you recognize areas where you could grow, the development of these habits will enhance not just your attractiveness, but your own life satisfaction and emotional well-being. The revolutionary aspect, aging as enhancement. What's revolutionary about understanding these habits is recognizing that they often develop more fully with age and experience. The woman who has learned to enjoy her own company, listen with genuine curiosity, appreciate without keeping score, disagree without combat, and receive vulnerability with grace has achieved something that typically only comes with maturity. This means that far from being at a disadvantage in dating, women over 60 who have developed these qualities possess something that younger women often cannot offer, the deep emotional wisdom that creates truly fulfilling relationships. As Maya Angelou observed, "I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." These 5 habits are all about how you make others feel seen, appreciated, accepted, understood, and emotionally safe. The habits that make men over 60 fall deeply in love aren't about changing who you are, they're about becoming more fully who you're meant to be. They're expressions of the emotional wisdom, security, and grace that can develop through decades of living, loving, learning, and growing. If you recognize yourself in these habits, celebrate the mature woman you've become. If you see areas for growth, remember that developing these qualities will enhance every relationship in your life, not just romantic ones. The men most worth your time will recognize and treasure these qualities because they understand what creates lasting love and genuine partnership. Your job isn't to perform these habits, but to develop them authentically as expressions of your own emotional evolution. If these insights into what creates lasting attraction after 60 resonated with you, show your support by hitting like, subscribe, and sharing this with women who might need to recognize their own quiet power to create deep, lasting love. Remember, the most attractive thing about a mature woman isn't her ability to recapture youth, it's her embodiment of the wisdom, grace, and emotional depth that only come with having truly lived. These 5 habits are your pathway to expressing that attractiveness authentically.